On defense, you need to craft a team that is a puzzle for your attackers, okay? When you're setting up a defensive lineup, you want to set up a team of defenders that will confuse and hopefully cause your attacking team to lose.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What is up, heroes of Dominion? My name is Charlie. This is Hero War Central, and in this video, I want to discuss the best strategy for building a defense using your existing main team. Now, before I get into it, I got to state two things. First of all, what I'm about to discuss here is my opinion. There are many, many ways to craft a defensive lineup in Hero Wars and Hero Wars Mobile. And the second thing is this conversation will apply to all versions of the game: mobile, Facebook, web, anything else that might be out there in the future. This conversation will apply to everything. So the point of Hero Wars is a long-term strategy game. You join a guild, you participate in wars, you level up various heroes that you need. You've got several activities that you have to jump into every single day: the campaign, the arena, the grand arena, the tower, outland, highwaymen if you're on mobile. You have to deal with the airship. You have to deal with the titans and the dungeon. On Hero Wars Mobile, you have to deal with the Hydra heads. On Hero Wars Facebook and web, you got to deal with the guild raid system and Osh the baby god. And all of this, you need to build a team of 5 heroes. Now, the choice of what 5 heroes you pick is ultimately up to you. I will say this every time anybody asks for forever: do not listen to those people that say things like this is the quote-unquote best team. All right, there are popular teams, right? And that forces them to be called the quote-unquote meta teams, right? Popular teams become meta teams. And then there are nuances between servers. For example, the server that I'm on here, server 53, has a lot of different variation of team types than my server over on 25. And my mobile server is a completely different game from Facebook servers. So you can't have the same conversations here, but we can have the same conversation about defensive teams, right? Defensive lineups. And you can see here in the arena, this is some of the top 10 lineups on defense. Just kind of run through them real quick. I'm not trying to make a point with looking at any of these teams in particular, just kind of showing you what we're dealing with here on server 53. And then I'm going to show you over here on server 25 some of the different options. You're going to see a lot of similarities here. Server 25 is much older than server 53, but there are going to be some differences as well. And Hero Wars mobile players, this is going to be completely different than some of the lineups that you're going to see in your defensive teams on Arena. But when it comes down to it, this game is a resource management game. That's like it's like the big generalization of what this game is. You need to manage all of these different resources over time as you play this game, right? But when it comes down to like the specifics of the day-to-day gameplay, it's all about picking a fight, right? It's all about player versus player in the arena, in the grand arena, if you like that sort of thing. Personally, I kind of hate the grand arena. And in your guild war and global championship system if you're on mobile, right? It's all about picking fights with other players. So you build a team, and I'm always going to say build the team that you want, because the meta team will change every 6 months. They're going to release new heroes that are going to invalidate old heroes. That's just how things work with this game. The game moves very fast, okay? Unless you are spending thousands of dollars a month on this game, and that is absolutely what you need to spend in order to stay up to date 100%, you will never have the best team all the time. There was a time that Kark and all Kark teams were the best team. Before that, there was a different lineup. After that, there are different lineups. Now, the team that was good before Kark is still good for different uses, right? The team that was good after Kark lineups are still good, but for different uses. Sure. And there's, the Twins teams and the Tory teams on mobile. You have the Way of Progress. You have the Chaos Tribe. You have all these different teams that are great, that are fantastic teams. You have Tim's Con Squad. You have the Daredevil Critical Hit teams. You have KSJ, Kira, Sebastian, Jets. All amazing, fantastic lineups. And I will recommend you investing in a set of 5 heroes that you enjoy and stick with those, with a couple of supporting heroes here and there, just to get you through the game. That is the plan. That is what I will say to every single new and mid-range and even high-end player. Stick with a team that you like, because you will be staring at this team for months and months and months. But from there, you have to have the discussion: should you use the same team on defense as you do on offense? And the answer is both yes and no. And it depends on how serious you want to take this game. I have a beautiful Kark team right here, and it's not the same as the team that I use for offense. You can see that. Often I'll use Nebula here or Isaac here. Sometimes I'll drop Faceless for Kai. Lots of variations for attacking the enemy teams. On defense, you need to craft a team that is a puzzle for your attackers, okay? When you're setting up a defensive lineup, you want to set up a team of defenders that will confuse and hopefully cause your attacking team to lose. If I just go in there with a quote-unquote standard meta Kark team, if like what we're staring at here with the faceless lineup, or maybe you're doing Jorgen faceless, or maybe you're doing Jorgen, whatever it is, whatever you're playing on Facebook or web or whatever it is, those common lineups are going to be a lot more simple to combat than some of these other lineups that you might see. Let me see if I can find one here, a high-level Kark team on defense. Here we go. So here's an example of a non-standard Kark team that's doing very well, holding rank 9, probably not going to hold rank 9 forever, using Merlin as a pet, using Kai instead of Faceless. Kai is probably actually the better choice now. Sebastian and Helios are in there for defensive strategy. With your team, the best defense is going to end up coming down to three separate ideas. Hear me out. Let's run through all three of them together. The first idea is to just stick your main team in there. And new players that haven't spent a lot of time playing the game, I would recommend you just use your main team, okay? They're obviously going to be the most powerful 5 heroes that you have. Just use your main team as your defensive team. It's not going to be the best 100% of the time. None of these choices are. But this is going to be a very strong team because you're investing all of your time and energy into this team. Therefore, it's going to be much stronger than subbing in a cool niche hero like Helios. If your Helios is only like level 90 compared to level 130, it'll still help. But the reason why you bring Helios is to fence your team against critical hit attacking heroes and for the extra armor artifact. There are reasons to bring Helioses into other teams, but that's why I would use Helios in this lineup, and that's why that arena defender used Helios in that lineup. Protection against critical hit teams like Yasmin, Daredevil, Artemis, as well as the armor artifact. So defensive team number 1, just use your existing team. Now defensive team number 2 that you could recommend would be to build a high tank, high defense, high healing team. Something like this. This is just an example. There's no synergy here. You've got 4 armor artifacts actually, and you have a magic defense artifact in Thea. You have 3 tanks. You have 2 healers. Don't pay any attention to the pets at all in this instance, mobile players, especially Facebook players. Actually, the pet assignments here are completely randomly assigned by the game. So the point of a 3 tank, 2 healer, or maybe a 2 tank, 2 healer, and 1 support, something like this. The idea behind this lineup is going to be to time out the attacking team. If you're trying to defend your position in Arena, if you're trying to defend your position in Guild Wars or Global Championships, if the attacking team cannot figure out a way to defeat you in 2 minutes, then the defending team wins the fights and somebody else has to have another try attacking that position. The heavy tank strategy like this is a great choice. It's not great on Facebook and web because of all of the ways to stop healing, and mobile has some of those same tools as well. But generally speaking, whenever you're going up against 3 tank, 2 healer like this, you just add in more damage dealers in favor of your supports and you'll be fine. You'll be able to defeat this team pretty easily. You just have to time your artifacts around the enemy's artifacts, and that's how you defeat a team like this. But then let's take a look at the third idea. And this is the idea that I'm actually leaning into right now, and a lot of players lean into, and in fact, a lot of people on your server are probably leaning into as well. If you take a look at this lineup here, this is my quote unquote main lineup that I start with. I have a lot of heroes leveled up, probably 20-ish heroes to choose from if I needed to sub in or out. I can, add an Iris, I can add an Orion. I have options for Helios or Isaac or Kai or Jorgen or Sebastian. I can even throw in an Aurora if I need to. Instead of using this lineup, I can drop out my main attacking hero for one of the supports. This may not look like a great strategy with this lineup, and it probably isn't a great strategy with this specific lineup. But what if I dropped Kark out in favor of one of these random other support heroes like Isaac or maybe Iris? There was a great video that Coco put out a little while ago about a weak Iris confusing his enemies, or Leon, or possibly a cute hero that nobody quite respects in Heidi. Now, how would you attack this team? If you knew how to attack a Kark team, would you know how to attack this team? Same heroes across the board. I drop Kark out for Heidi instead. So the question that you might be asking is, why would you do that? Why would you drop Kark out? Or why would you drop the twins out if you were a twins team? Or why would you drop Kira out if you were a Kira Blender team? If you take a look at my website, HeroWarsCentral.com, there is a max stats page. You can come in here and you can download max stats for Facebook and web or mobile. It just shows up as a spreadsheet. I've got it pulled up here on Google Drive. Let's sort magic defense from low to high. Okay, we kind of go down the list, You can see here that Kark has got 15k magic defense at max. Now that's not a lot, right? That's not nearly enough to combat enemy mages. If you take a look at some of the heroes that have less magic defense than Kark, you can see that there is quite a list of heroes that have worse magic defense. Sebastian kind of stands out. Kira, Dante, Yasmin, Daredevil, Artemis would be a good example. These are all heroes that I would recommend you drop out of your defensive team and add in some other supporting hero. Add in another healer, add in another control type healer like Darkstar or Jorgen. Add in another tank, some kind of defender. Now when you're looking at attacking a team like this, you're not going to have as obvious an idea on how to defeat that team. And it may take more than one attempt to defeat this team. Let's take another example of a classic twins lineup that I'm seeing a lot of. You got Aurora, you got twins, you got Celeste, Sebastian. You don't see this team much on mobile because Sebastian isn't as good on mobile, but this is a very strong and uncommonly seen team on Hero Wars Facebook and web. The thing about the twins is they're not great on defense because they're so easy to counter. Like, you just know how to counter them, especially with Lars in the rear position back there. Now you might say, well, I've invested more into my twins, my Lars and my Krista than any hero else in my entire list of heroes. Maybe you've invested more into your tank Aurora. Maybe you've invested a little bit more into your hero Celeste. But what you might consider doing is dropping out Lars or Krista, either or, and adding in that other support hero like Helios. Suddenly this isn't a twins team anymore, and it's a little bit more confusing. Now, I'm not saying to use this as a defensive lineup if you're a twins player. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying dropping one hero for another hero, a more defensive hero, a more thicker, more healthy, higher armor, higher magic defense hero could be what you need to do in order to stay in your position in Arena and hold that position in Guild War and the Global Championship for a little bit longer. What I would recommend you do is go to my website, download the applicable max stats page for your Facebook account or your mobile account, whatever. Take a look at where your heroes land on the max stats list when it comes to armor. You got to sort A to Z to see the lowest to highest. See which heroes in your team have the lowest effective health. You can see that Kira has the third lowest health in the game. So if you're running some kind of Kira Blender team, then your team on defense, you could potentially drop Kira for somebody else to confuse your attackers. Take a look at the heroes with the lowest magic defense. Daredevil struggles. She's got much higher health now than she used to, but she struggles against Helios's, obviously. She struggles against all kinds of magic damage. She might be another great idea to pull out of your lineup. So I'll say this again. Hero Wars is about resource management, but it's also about figuring out the puzzle that your enemy team has set for you and trying to find a way to defeat that lineup with the heroes that you have available. And it's your job on defense to try to confuse the enemy attacking team as much as you can. YouTube is going to show you a video on screen right now that it thinks that you need to be watching. If you have a little bit of time, please check out that video. I love you all. Good luck in Dominion.